My name is Robert Davis Hoffmann. I'm the artist in residence here at the Sheldon Jackson Museum under the Native Artist Residency program. I've been teaching formline design. I taught a woodblock printmaking class to teach the principles of this formline art. This formline art is a clan crest design style of the Pacific Northwest Coast tribes. I am from the Tlingit tribe. I'm from the Tsagwedi clan, originally from the village of Cake. And I grew up learning this art form from my father, and I gladly pass it on to anybody who wants to learn it. I teach the principles of the formline design, and I also teach the wood carving. So rather than going to the principles of design, there's a separate video on that from the class I taught. I'll talk a little bit about my carving tools, how I take care of them, and what the different types of tools are for. These tools I have, these curved knives and the straight knife, are based on our traditional tools that we had, and these I just bought. You can buy these online, or some people make them. I prefer to buy mine. They're made to specifically cut the types of areas that you see in our formline design. The formline art style is a two-dimensional type of design, and you'll see it on three-dimensional objects. What that really is the two-dimensional art wrapped on a three-dimensional object. So this flat design could actually be stretched onto anything three-dimensional. It's a really plastic type of art form in that sense. So my straight knives, I have, this is called a baby straight knife. There's larger ones, and you need larger ones for the larger areas where I'm going to take out a lot of, do a lot of removal of wood. The small ones are for more detail work. I even use this to create these really fine lines. But alternatively, I'll show you how, on the back of this, I'll show you how I would use this to cut a fine line. I'd simply go one direction with the grain, going in the right way, and then turn it around and cut the other direction. And that creates a fine line. Alternatively, I could use this really fine V-cut gouge and do the same thing with half the amount of work. The problem is when you get into really soft wood like red cedar, this is yellow cedar, you can see it's got tight grain, so I can carve this wood without ripping it by carving in the wrong direction. In softer wood like red cedar, this might dig into the wood and start to tear it, and that's when I would revert to using a straight knife to carve the fine lines. And then there are the curved knives. Another word you'll hear for these are hook knives. These are used in areas that are dished out, like around the ovoid eyes, or inside the scooped out U-shapes. So I have large knives for the large areas. You can see I can carve two different directions with this. If this only was a one-sided knife blade, I'd have to turn my work around and carve that way, turn it around and carve the other way. but I can carve either direction and scoop out without having to turn my board completely, so I'm carving with the grain in the right direction. So I use one hand to guide and have more control, and also to put the amount of pressure on the right amount of pressure. And this knife is, this hand is used for leverage. You can see I've got really, you can tell a person's hands by the kind of work they do. And also you get these unusual muscles from doing that repeated motion over and over. But that turns you into a better carver. Your hands start adapting to your tools. And then I use the straight knife to get the little chips out. So you see, even with my straight knife, I use one finger to help as a guide and to control the amount of pressure on it. There's this other tool that is, it's not a traditional tool, but I found it really handy in carving out areas like the trigons that you see in the corner of an eye. And so what I do is I carve my outline. I'm kind of tilting my knife this way so I don't have a straight down cut, and it shows more of the inner area of the eye. And get this other side also. You can see I'm slanting my knife again. And then, since I'll be carving, this is the deep end, and I'll be carving that direction, I'll be carving that out, so I don't need to do anything with this area. If it were an eyeball, then I would just create an outline all the way around the whole thing, and then I would use this to carve, scoop out that deep stuff, and then I would use a long straight knife, I don't have my long one here, to finish out the rest of it. So you can see where this tool would be handy, even though it's not traditionally in our repertoire of tools. So that's that. And with those few tools, you can basically carve any area of a form line design, including the fine line, the straight cuts, and the U cuts. It's really fun. You ought to give it a try someday. Sign up for one of our classes. Thank you.